All right, man. Well, hey, new venue, who dis? This is awesome, man. Welcome to the Campus Gold Gala for the first time at the Radisson Blu. It's great to see a bunch of familiar faces tonight, and it's great to see some new friends here tonight, too. By show of hands, who is here for the first time tonight? That's a lot of hands. That's a lot of hands. I like it. Well, welcome. And thank you for being here. Now, as a refresher, my name is Ryan Sartori, and at 9 years old, I received a leukemia diagnosis. Then, for 9 years, I was a camper with Camp One Step, and I've been a volunteer since 2017. Camp, to put it simply, is one of the biggest parts of my life. So I thank you all for being here tonight. The first friend that I ever made at camp was a kid by the name of Deleon, but we all just called him Buck. Buck was from Milwaukee, and he loved the Bucks, and that's probably how he got the nickname. He was witty, he was quick with a joke, and the ladies thought he was cool, so therefore I was cool by association. And we became really fast friends that summer. We were roommates, and we would get in trouble for staying up too late. We sat next to each other at every meal, and we took pictures on our iPods that we would put ridiculous filters on so that we could upload them to Facebook later. I even think we passed the swim test that summer. It was the most fun that I've ever had in my life. And that was big for me because the last time I had attended camp, I cried for 7 straight days. Aw, I made no friends. Aw, again. Well. So, when the next summer was rolling around, I was super excited to come back and see Buck and have another great summer. When I got to campus, I went to go find him and get the fun started. And when I did find him, I was a bit confused because now Buck was in a wheelchair and struggled to meet my same excitement. Buck was maybe 14, and at that time, he had to tell me that his cancer had come back, and he was just super tired from the treatment. That week was still a ton of fun. And even if it was at a bit slower a pace, just like the year before, it was incredible. And when the week was over, we set our sights on next summer's shenanigans. That fall, I found out that Buck had passed away a few weeks after summer camp. It was my first experience with loss, and that came with its own challenges. But I want to tell you that now, when I'm at camp, I look for Buck everywhere, and I see him a lot. I see him when old friends run into hugs when they return to campus. I see him when a shy kid opens up and makes a new pal. I see him when, as a counselor, I have to go to a room full of campers and it's past lights out, and I say, "You must go to sleep." I see him everywhere at camp. But this past summer, I saw him in a completely different way. It was the last day, and we were wrapping up our final trip to the waterfront. I was asked somewhat randomly to take a camper to the Arts and Crafts building, and that was odd because it wasn't on our schedule, so I asked, "Hey, what are we doing here?" The camper then replied to me saying, "We're here for Parker." That camper, by the way, wearing a Dallas Cowboys sweatshirt in July. Odd choice, but I digress. Once everybody made the rendezvous, that situation became a bit more clear to me as to what was happening. Parker was a friend to this group of 9 or so kids that ran together at camp. The camper that had the Dallas Cowboys sweater on was his girlfriend, and the sweater was Parker's. The counselors who were there also had a connection to Parker as well. But that group was coming together to grieve. Somewhere between winter camp and summer camp, Parker lost his battle with cancer, and this was the first time that these kids had a chance to be together. They sat around a table making paper lanterns for a vigil that they would have later that night, writing things down that reminded them of their friend and telling stories of him. "He was my wingman," one camper said, and another agreed, "Yeah, my first year at camp, he told me I could use a boyfriend and he was going to hook me up with somebody." We sat in that arts and crafts building for maybe 30 minutes, and astonishingly, 25 of those minutes were spent laughing. They told in greater detail stories about staying up too late, joking during meal times, and the times that they had poked fun at a counselor or two. The emotions did catch up to that group as they remembered Parker telling them of the time that he had left. They remembered the group hug they shared. They remembered the definitive phone call that they all received. Crying had replaced the joyful remembrance. But then, a voice raised up amongst them that said, "No, guys, we can't cry. Remember what Parker said. Cowboys don't cry." That's what Parker had told the group when he revealed his inevitable. The way that that moment gripped me is something that I don't assume I'll forget. In the face of finality, Parker decided cancer would not define him. He stood tall and brave and chose to soak up the moments with his friends the way that he wanted to, focusing on the things that mattered. Camp provided an escape for Parker. Camp provided a safe haven for him and then eventually his friends. I sort of wondered as I listened to them all tell these stories if maybe Buck had made that same decision years ago. No one could laugh with these kids the way that they were able to laugh together in that moment. No one would be able to process grief with them the way that they were able to process grief together. At the end of our winter camp program, it's a tradition that we have where we stand in a circle, we hold hands, and we sing Dionne Warwick's song, "That's What Friends Are For." And you might know the lyrics, right? In good times and bad times, I'll be on your side forevermore. Thank you. Okay, so you know the song. Good. Okay. Well, at camp, 95% of our campers' experiences are the good times. But the 5% exists for them too. And I'm so glad that you are all here tonight to ensure that they have the community to experience 100% of it together where everybody understands. Yeah. We have a big night ahead of us, friends. Like Jan said, this is the biggest gala we have ever had. It's huge. And in just a bit, we're going to hear from our president, Jeff Infusino. You're over there, not there. Our camper speaker, Kaya, is so excited to meet you. And the Richard Schwabel Family Award is going to a really special person tonight. Yeah. You also need to know that raffle tickets are still available, so be sure to grab those from one of our great volunteers. A getaway to Estes Park, 4 days, 3 nights, 8 people is on the line. Also, if you notice the Pollywood patio set that's set up out where we had our cocktail hour, that is on the line as well. You can find a volunteer, or you can go to cosgala.givesmart.com to find that information. Our silent auction is happening right now. And that will close at 10 p.m. We want to give a thank you to North Branch for sponsoring that important portion of our gala. I think we found the North Branch people somewhere over there. We enjoyed that lovely cocktail hour tonight, and that's thanks to our friends at Pretium Packing. And we're also happy to have our presenting sponsor, Catton, back for another year. They increased their support for Camp One Step this year, so please give them a big round of applause. Thank you again for being here tonight. I can't say that enough, and I'm probably going to say that a million more times, but it means so much that you are here tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please enjoy your dinner. We'll be back in just a little bit, okay?